So I just wanted to show you guys. I'm gonna highlight this a little bit over here. So for those of you who don't know, this is my man Ernest over here, and this is the food he posts today. So I'm like, man, what do I want for dinner? What do I want for dinner? And then look what he puts up on me. Telling you, man, it's a love-hate relationship. This guy posts such good-looking food. It's like killing me. Look at this. So what do you guys? Which one, we're gonna take a vote tonight. I was thinking about doing this earlier. We'll do like a little right or left kind of side here. I want you guys to kind of marinate this through. So what are you guys voting? Which one looks better? The left side of this thing or the right side of this thing? Because I was kind of torn. I was like, I was like, the garlic, the Parmesan looking garlic things on the right side look really, really good, but there's a little red pepper flakes over here, so these are looking pretty spicy too. So totally torn, guys. I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I was like, I'm gonna throw it to a vote tonight. So that's gonna be the vote of the evening. If you guys are out there, we're gonna vote whether left or right. Which one do you think was better? All right. So with that being said, uh-oh, did we break it? Hmm. Oh, maybe I'm just lagging. Could be I'm lagging. Let's see. Yeah, I think Twitch is lagging. You get pip chips for that. Well, yeah, it's interesting. So my stream is actually delayed. So you can see the picture, but I'm delayed on mine, which is interesting. So hold on, let me refresh. Let's see if that catches it up a bit. Yeah, I don't know. There may be some pip chips in that one. I don't know. If there's a way to kind of, sway the system, I'm thinking some wings over there might be the way to do it. Although I will say Mike making all that jerky today, I don't know, that could do it too. So, like I said, I can be bought with food. Just saying. Just saying. All right. All right, so let's dive in now that everybody is hungry and going to be ordering chicken wings, so they're ready to go by the time this presentation is over. Let's dive into what we saw today. So today was one of those days that, like, honestly, everything was just spot on. I mean, literally, there's one adjustment on the median CPI for the CAD, but literally, look at all the news today. Isn't this absolutely unreal? Look at this: 3, 9, 2, 1, 1.4. It's like I don't know that I've ever seen that. I mean, thank God for the one slight adjustment that we had, but seriously, I don't think I've ever seen this before, where every single thing was spot on for the day. And FOMC was more or less what I expected it to be too. So it was kind of crazy. Like, it was just, yeah. So looking at the currencies for the day, obviously there probably wasn't going to be that much movement, just because with everything being perfect, although a lot of stuff kind of moved into the right position of where we needed to be. All kind of what I would call minor moves necessarily, but again, moved into some good locations so to set up trades over the next 2-3 days. All right. Again, just looking at a kind of bird's eye view, you can see +6, +21 on the pound dollar. And euro dollar, or euro, I guess euro dollar, pound dollar. So not a lot of movement there, right? A little bit more weakness in the dollar. Dollar yen, same thing. Dollar Swiss, same thing. A little bit more dollar weakness. Dollar CAD, we had some more strength, but again, that's not, yesterday I talked about getting up to 133, and I think we're 133.19 right now. The last I look, or somewhere in that area. So we're right above the 133 number, which I think is a pretty good number to be at right now. Aussie, obviously, Aussie's down a little bit. We definitely had some more weakness there, and we're continuing that trend. But although it's going down, it's getting into a large, like basically a higher time frame demand zone. So it's kind of one of those things. Like, I'm happy that it's going down, but we're getting close to an area where we're about to see a flip. Euro pound, really not a whole lot of movement. We're down to, you can see, a 0.11. And it's only, it's down 10 for the day in 24 hours. So not too much there, but again, not necessarily super worried about that one. Like I said, I think the fireworks of that were coming later in the week. It's only Wednesday. And then pound yen, 4. So yeah, 4. 4. And yeah. And the interesting thing about that one is, last I checked that one, the ATR on that one was just at like 90. I think we're going to be down in the 80 range. So it's basically in like a month, it's down to like half of what it was before. And save to your coffee. Sure. The sage works too. All right. So again, news obviously was just kind of just blah today. Even with the crude oil news, it just, obviously, they haven't been able to pick. If you guys look at the history on this one, you guys can see that they do not have a good history of hitting it dead on, and they did. They nailed it today. Nailed it, right? And again, just to mess up our analysis, but you can see that they have not been right for a very, very Let's see, have they been right this year? No. Oh, sorry. February 6th. So this is the second time that they've been right this year, and it comes out every single week. So, I mean, look at those odds. We're up to 40 something or 40. Yeah, like 40, what, 40, like 45 draws, and 2 of them are correct. So, this just happened to be one of them. All right. Which means next week the odds are in our favor that it probably won't be a hit. So next week we should see some movement next week on it, and it's great. Looking at we'll go into tomorrow first. Looking at tomorrow again, we have the ECB monetary policy meeting accounts. Again, don't often see ECB news, so whenever we something that has an actual euro or something like that, we could definitely get some movement. Based on what we're seeing, I'm kind of expecting it not to be too bad. Some of the German data wasn't horrible, but we'll kind of see what they're saying as far as easing, and I don't think they're anywhere close to raising yet. I don't think anybody's actually really close to raising at this point. If anybody, it would probably be us, but I don't think the euro's at that stage yet. I think there's still a little bit too much indecision about what's going to happen and what are the effects of Brexit going to be that they're not going to hold, or they're going to hold. They're not going to raise necessarily anything. And then besides that, it just really speeches. Manufacturing number, Philly Fed manufacturing may give us a little bit, but I think tomorrow is going to be dominated again by all this stuff again, right? All this kind of back and forth. I'll give my opinion on that in a second. And then again, obviously Friday, that's where we have all the big news. So Friday's the big one. Tomorrow, I expect it not to be crazy, particularly on the economic front. All right, now, with that being said, let's go down and cover kind of the news and what we've seen, what's going back and forth, okay? Yeah. Basically, it's just drama back and forth. I will say I heard some of the Trump press conference, and I was kind of like, wow, he is definitely going on the offensive, which I don't know if it's good or I don't know if it's bad. But yeah, definitely going on the offensive with just kind of his speech. And this person's a corrupt, politician. I was like, wow, you're just coming out right and just letting it all go, right? I don't know if he's just, enough is enough, or if this point there's just been nothing and it's kind of like, oh, let's attack a person that's weak. I don't know what it is, but I was kind of surprised that it was as, I don't know, aggressive, for lack of a better word. But I did think it was interesting, and a couple things of note today. So for those of you that are on the stock trading side, and again, remember, I'm not allowed to stock trade right now, but not that I'm not allowed, but I have to get permission, and there's all this other stuff that I have to jump through, so I don't. But I did think it was very interesting that Trump was touring an Apple facility today. Again, some of the comments he made, it's kind of like, I don't know, Apple's been one of those things that has been kind of a thorn in the side. We're very big into all these tariffs. He can bring a ton of money back if he nails Apple to the wall on this one, which in my opinion, I think he should, because so much of the money was left overseas, and they were like, why should we bring it back? We're not paying taxes on that. And my kind of take on it is, obviously the one side of the aisle wants to tax the heck out of rich people. Well, Apple's pretty rich. So if you want to tax everybody, including the companies, if that's what you want to be. And then all of a sudden he made a comment about how, well, we have to give them fair treatment like Samsung's getting because we cut them a deal. It's like, no, if they don't want to, they're an American company, not a South Korean company. If they don't want to bring the profits back and keep them overseas, but yet their stock price is up 65% this year, they're doing the same thing that China is. They're taking advantage of, some kind of loopholes in the system, and let's just put an end to that. Tax them, I say. But I did think it was interesting that they were touring a plant. Nothing like greasing the palms of, of the hierarchy there. But it was funny this morning on CNBC. I will say I was listening to it, and they were talking about how, they're going to have to basically, when he was going through the plant today, that they were going to be, he was going to be inflating Trump's ego, paying him many compliments for his his business prowess, and I thought it was absolutely hysterical. I was like, oh God, this is so funny. So I don't know. That's kind of my take on the news, but like I said, I think this thing right here is probably the biggest. The phase one of the China deal may not be completed before this year end. I don't necessarily believe this. I know China wants to kind of push back, but at the same time, our rhetoric on this is, well, we don't need the deal. The deal's not good enough for us. We want them to come to the table. I don't know. I'm telling you right now, if the market starts to pull back too fast, it will get done. Is kind of how it goes. Is what it is. I mean, it's kind of hard to say that it's hurting us when our economy is as high as it is. So we'll see. But like I said, I could see them basically saying, you know what, Apple, you're clear, you're good, you don't have to pay for it, and then the market won't crash as much. So I mean, this is all just political maneuvering at this point, and yeah, we'll see. One week it's good, the next week it's not good, and then the next week after that it's good again. So, but like I said, I see, especially with all the Hong Kong, with all this stuff, the Hong Kong Bill of Rights stuff, or Rights Bill. I think this is, I think he's actively provoking them now because there's no bigger way to anger them than to strike back in Hong Kong in the process. All right, and yeah, it should be interesting. All right, let's go ahead and look at the scanner. So on the scanner today, all right, a lot more sideways stuff. Yesterday there was some more setups. We do have some more setups based off of kind of like the CAD and the Aussie because those two have been going down with slight pullbacks. Typically anything right now that has the Aussie, and it seems like that's being the one that's a little bit weaker, right? And again, we're getting a pullback here and there, but it's pulling back into the weird areas. So looking, starting off in the majors, you can see again, Euro, basically it's been up, kind of, a little bit driving forward. Again, this is that dollar weakness we've seen over the last couple of days. We get some good U.S. data in here, or we start hearing some news coming out of Europe or, London. I think those things are going to turn around very, very quickly. The way that I see it is the U.S. is not cutting rates anymore. We are totally good. There's no reason to do that. The only thing we're going to do now is make sure that we can stem inflation by raising rates. So we may not be doing it now, but that's the next cycle for us, which will bring back dollar strength. And I don't see any economic condition that's going to necessarily help the euro or the UK. All right. So those basically have the same exact picture, and again, not uncommon because they're both the same type of pair, right? Dollar CAD. So dollar CAD driving up to 133, as I mentioned yesterday, I think is a good thing. 133 is one of those numbers that's, it's been more or less this year's equilibrium. Obviously, it's been a bit higher, but then it's also been a bit lower. But it seems like 133 has been kind of a number that it likes to hover around. Obviously, today's data, really not a whole lot there. And again, going into tomorrow, a little bit of data. And then again, we see Friday morning is where we have all the retail sales numbers come in. Now, they're supposed to be better than they were before, at least for the core, but not by much, right? And then retail sales numbers overall, just the general one, is actually considered even worse. So none of that is good for the CAD, and I think that's why we're seeing price kind of rallying up, even though the data was exactly what it was supposed to be today. I think it's the market adjusting for what we're going to see. So if there's any type of surprise on those two, I see it being CAD strength, and I see it coming back down again very, very fast. Probably back down in the 132 to 135, 50 range. So we'll see. So that's what we have going for the CAD. New Zealand dollar, again, this is mixed across the board. Uptrend setup, downtrend setup, downtrend setup. Again, we'll look at that one. Problem with this one is we were kind of getting into a consolidated area. Swiss is just literally stuck. You'll see none of them have a confirmed or a setup in there, meaning it's just obviously consolidated back and forth. Now, here's the Aussie dollar, as I mentioned before. You're seeing this down, down, down right across the board. And yes, this is an uptrend anchor break, meaning it's a downward signal. And again, we're seeing that drive down, but as I mentioned, it is going right into a demand zone. So not necessarily concerned, not interested in getting short this one yet. It's just got a little tiny bit more to go. And again, we're back into that buying zone. Okay. Dollar yen. Yeah. Sideways down confirmed. Again, that's about to be an uptrend setup when both these two trigger. If this goes just a bit higher, this will be in a downtrend setup. We'll look at that one. That may have some interesting kind of plays tomorrow. Although today it only moved, minus 15 pips. But most, a lot of that retraces in the last kind of 20 minutes where it's coming back up again. So it was a little bit more. That's the last of the majors. Looking at the European basket. So the European basket, again, for the most part, again, we're seeing a little bit more European strength. None of it is necessarily in the setup range, although the Aussie, the CAD, New Zealand, again, we saw all those. This is coming down. This is having weakness. This is having weakness. So more or less the same trade. It's not so much Euro strength as it is as much as Aussie's weakness, CAD's weakness, and New Zealand's weakness. Euro dollar, same thing. I mean, I wouldn't quite say that we have. I don't think we have huge dollar weakness. I don't know. Like I said, interest rates are what's going to drive it. I don't think the trade war necessarily is going to be such a big deal. I still think the biggest kind of hinge upon the dollar right now is going to be what does the market do, and that's what's going to affect this. And again, a lot of that's going to be is will he make the exception, even though he doesn't want to. He doesn't. Trump has blatantly said he doesn't like Apple. So if he makes the exception for Apple to appease a lot of people, I think this will, you'll see dollar strength flood back in again because they won't be concerned. Euro pound. So Euro pound is not giving us any confirmed at all, right? So which means we are consolidating back down inside of that small range. I think Friday's the big one for this one. I think we will have a burst on Friday. Thursday night, it's going to matter what we set up. And as I mentioned before, I think it's going to be pretty safe on this one if we set some type of binary up, just based off of where it is. Okay, Euro yen's kind of a similar situation. We have down sideways confirmed, meaning that any type of uptrend like we're seeing right here, it will give us a downtrend set up in right here in the euro yen. Okay, and again, that would make sense because we're seeing the downtrend here. We just need these two to pop, get the signal here, take that one short. Now in the pound has just as many. I mean, it's just as many confirms, and it's kind of the same thing. Euro CAD again, you can see Euro CAD here, pound CAD here. So again, this is a CAD issue, right? And an Aussie issue and a New Zealand issue, not necessarily a pound. As I mentioned before, the pound is pretty flat. Against the U.S., again, obviously it's grinding up a bit again. U.S. issue, U.S. weakness, and that's based off of what we heard for the news today. Same thing over here. I mean, I would say these two are nothing super crazy. Pound yen, again, pound yen moved 3. Okay, so a lot of that is just kind of, you guys can see, we're good here, then this one is the opposite, and then this one is the opposite. So it's kind of mixed. That one we're going to have to go into the charts for. Aussie. In all the other pairs, the Aussie is showing weakness. So it's showing weakness except versus the CAD. You know, we are getting a downtrend setup, but again, that means it is pulling back, and we're seeing that on lower time frames, meaning the CAD is gaining some strength. So it looks like Aussie is the weakest pair of all of them. New Zealand, also New Zealand, same thing. This one is a downtrend setup, meaning actually the New Zealand looks like it's a little bit weaker. Yeah, and that one again, downtrend setup, uptrend setup, again, kind of conflicting back and forth. Aussie yen is the other one we do look at. This one is about to go into the downtrend setup mode. Again, downtrend setup, downtrend setup. So Aussie yen is something that we need to look at, but again, it's looking like it's getting right into a demand zone that we marked off last night. So we'll start looking for reversal signals for that one tomorrow. And then last but not least, the CAD basket. CAD basket's basically, again, up confirmed, up confirmed, up confirmed. CAD weakness, CAD weakness, CAD weakness. We get any type of CAD strength at all, we'll have an uptrend setup, uptrend setup, uptrend setup. We already have the uptrend setup here. We already have the uptrend setup here. So because of the CAD news today, a lot of stuff is about to be in setup range. Same thing over here. Now, why this is important that we have a check, a box, a check, a box, a check, a check. It basically means when we get any type of retracement from the movement we had today, every single one of these is in a setup situation. So CAD needs to be on your radar as far as things that you're looking for. And again, you're seeing, I mean, this box literally, I mean, you have setup, 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 confirm, confirm, setup, confirm, confirm, setup, confirm, setup, confirmed, confirmed. So this will soon be in setup range. This as well. Okay, and then we have what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Basically, all but the pound CAD are in some type of setup mode right now. So a lot of CAD movement tonight, and again, that's because of the news today. It was flat, but the market did, react to it. And again, that's how you have to use this, is looking for where the most opportunity is. And again, that's all CAD weakness. Okay. What are the comments here? Apple is pulling Trump tendencies anyway. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's an entire ego play. Like those two guys actually hate each other. Like they were pretty pointed at each other. All right. All right, let's go over 2 charts. All right, so here's Aussie yen. Okay, last night, remember we marked this off saying, hey, if we get to this level, we're going to have to make sure we have an alert ready to go. Okay. Again, that would also be, I guess in this case, had you taken the short, this was also your profit target, would have been the start of the move right before the level. And again, it's still driving down. It's still heading there, right? Again, profit target 1 would have been this one right here on this time frame, right? Because that's the base of the last kind of big push up. If you're looking at it on the 4-hour, again, that would have had to have been in this area. And actually, I guess it's not this low. This is the alert. Right actually where price is right now before it kind of pulled back. It would have been this level right here is where we were looking for the profit target. And you can see we went above it. We actually went below by a little bit on that one already. So again, had you been in the 4-hour and you were holding it for a second profit target, you've now hit that second profit target. All right. So the green dotted line on this one, and again, I meant to change this to something else. It will do black for black dotted lines will be the alerts. All right. Because the gold one just confusing people. Welcome, James. Hop off of this. I don't think we have any good news right now. Hold on, let me see real quick. No, credit card spending, but that's not going to bump it. So yeah, so you're seeing a little bit of a bounce right here, and again, I don't think that's the bounce from this level. It's close, but again, I'd still probably go just a little bit farther down before I'd really kind of be willing to jump into this one. But nice little burst off of it. As I said, we're up about 15 pips, actually a 20 pip spike inside of this one candle. So something's moving. All right, let's drop this down real quick. Yeah, that's in one candle. So again, that's a 20 pip spike in one little bit back up to this level of basing here. So we'll see if this one's going to turn and flip to the downside on us, right? You're looking at that area right there. I guess technically we have to include the single wick, right? There's a single wick of the base. We'll see what set that off, though. I don't see anything on the news, but there's got to be something that set that one off. That's a bit. 20 pips in one candle like that is a lot in just one little blip. I don't see anything yet, but I'll keep an eye on that one. Yeah, I'll watch it. All right, so again, waiting for this to go just a little bit lower. I don't think that would be the takeoff point. We were right at that area. Again, you guys can see it on the daily. Okay, on the 4 hour, looking at that same zone, you guys will see it's kind of a bigger area. If we wanted to make it probably there, it's not as clean as this one right below, but we'd probably shrink it to that level right there. Pulls us back just a little bit on that one, but again, there's no point in marking off all that area when there's no order sitting in the area. So that's kind of where we're sitting. We adjust it here. Okay. That's what we're looking for right now. Waiting for again. Now, when we get to this area down here at 73.30, definitely looking for some type of a bounce. Although this is making it pretty interesting right now, because again, it's gonna have to come all the way back down again and tag this one, right, and then go back up again. So, interesting thing that it's doing here. There's definitely something news-wise that popped this off, because again, that's just a random 20 pip spike in this pair. Kind of funky, but we'll see in a second. All right, looking at Aussie New Zealand. Okay, you'll see a little bit of a spike, but not so much. Okay, again, this is sitting down inside of that zone that we talked about, right? You can see this is very, very slow basing out of this level. Okay. What this is this is a single wick against the wall over here. Basically, there's a large pop up, kind of a sideways kind of bit of movement, and then a pop out of it. All right. And that's what we're using is that kind of basically this candle right here. If you guys can see it on the screen. This candle right here is what we have bottom. And that's kind of what we're in right now. Okay. It went very, very low into the bottom of it before it started to retrace back up. Not a lot of explosiveness either way. And again, that's the very, very tail of that wick. I'd love for it just to break this zone. I don't think there's any reason why. Especially as deep as went. I'm ready for a break of this and then kind of a short out the bottom side of it. That's kind of what I'm looking for right now in this position. Again, break of the zone, retest, and again, continue back down to this 105.50 range. I like that much better of an area than this. This is just kind of a little bit of a speed bump, like a little hiccup. But I think this could really start getting us into some selling, right? And again, this would be Aussie weakness, New Zealand strength, which you don't see too often, but obviously it can happen. Okay, you guys can see over here. I mean, it's definitely pushed all the way back down to this zone, right? But we'll see what's able to turn out of this one. Now, Aussie dollar. Yeah, but that happened 5 minutes ago. Yeah, so you're seeing it here also. See? You're seeing the same thing. All right. This little window here. We were at 66. What? I'll just measure it. It's easier. Yeah, this one's a 15. You're seeing it more on the other one. That's why I happen to think I think it's something with Japan. Wouldn't be surprised if there's something. Oh, here we go. See, remember I said just a second ago, they were like, yeah, it's probably not going to happen this year. And then 2 minutes ago, what does he say? He's cautiously optimistic about agreeing to phase one. So, which is interesting that he would say that because, Trump today was basically like, we don't need the deal. Until it gets better, we're not taking it. I have no interest in taking it whatsoever. And then yet, and basically said, we're a greater country than them. He was pretty pointed, actually. So, that's probably what led to the pop. Yeah, it just came out a minute ago, 2 minutes ago. That's all I can see. So, again, where we are in this pair. So we talked about a couple speed bumps on the downside. We had this one little bump here, right? And again, that bump was this little piece here, okay? We're eating through a couple different things on the 4-hour. That's important to note, okay? We had this little pullback here, and again, not the greatest. You got to hate when it comes all the way down past the zone. But what it's been able to do is put a low here, a low here, and a low here, okay? So it is building, showing it that we do have some orders down here that keeps turning this thing away. And again, this bottom section here, this is not necessarily a fresh area. That is this. Whoops. That is this little speed bump right here. So as far as where anything clean is, it's going to be all the way down to this level. Now, we've seen basic on this one for the last, 5 days now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. We've been stuck inside of this large red movement. And again, since last Thursday, right? Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And again, we're just literally going back and forth in the same region. Now, it would be nice if we have some type of trend continuation, okay? We did have this wick over wick here, and again, we touched the very, very bottom of it, hence why we've removed it. But you guys, and again, here's what that looked like, that wick over wick to the downside, right? Now, we've been kind of flirting and keep pushing back into it. If we break the bottom side of this, if we can get a nice kind of drop-based drop, right? Some type of basing level in or at the very, very bottom of this zone, especially if we can get it inside of here, when we break down, we can use that as our shorting area for our risk level. Because if you're looking at this on a daily, what do we have, right? I mean, we don't really have much until we get back down to this level, right? So we have some potential shorts in this one that are turning out to be pretty nice, right? Okay, because there's nothing on this candle. Again, this is a big pop, a little base, and then a pop again. And again, looking back over here, you guys can see, what do we, here's the green line. Got a little hiccup here, but again, this zone has been basically burst through, right? A little bit of a hiccup here, and then we run right back into this bottom level. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm targeting, is down here, and it's about getting a good entry in. Now again, obviously a nice pop and a retrace back down again, but we really need for this to break, or we need to put in a newer lower low in here. And if we can get that lower low, I think that'd be helpful. To start pushing it down. So this is a position I'm actually really looking for some type of I'm looking for a reason to get in. Like I said, I would like it to get a little bit lower. I would like it to form a little bit of basing in here. And interesting enough, again, when we had this green candle, like just a little while ago, we had a downtrend set up, but we didn't really necessarily have any good areas. This is a little, I mean, again, you wouldn't have picked this one, but really this is probably the best little area over here, right? This little bit. And we didn't quite get up to it. We got close, but we didn't quite get up to it. So you still wouldn't have gotten your entry into it. So again, looking for an entry, but we are in an area of buyers. That's the only thing I don't like. But I'm really looking for. I want to take over this area here. That's what I'm looking to take over. And for me right now, it's about finding an entry to get into it. Okay. All right. So, hold on. Let me refresh forex factory and see if there's anything else. Nope. That's all. That's what it is. He remains cautiously optimistic. Speaking at a dinner forum. Yeah. So that's all that we have going on that one. That's what led to that pop. So again, I'd expect the retracement to come all the way back down again. Now, the nice thing about it is by this popping up again, it's grabbing a lot more sell orders. So that could be the catalyst to help us drive through the bottom of the zone. We'll see. In which case, again, I could be looking for some shorts in this area when we get around this bottom purple area right here. Here, I'll mark it off down there. Okay. Yeah, when we get into here, that could be my risk level for the downside. Okay. Looking at pound Aussie, let's see if we got the spike here. A little bit. Not that crazy though. Let's see. Yeah, similar. Again, spiked down into this level of basing here and then came right back up again. So now, pound Aussie. Okay, let me bring this back up to 30 minutes so we can get our normal analysis here. All right. So again, we are definitely at a high here, right? It's not quite as high as this candle, but we got pretty close. And you can see that's where price is kind of poking right now. Interesting top on this one. Again, we kind of came down and then popped up again, came back to the same level right here. Again, this was the gap, right? This was the Friday to Sunday gap, and then came back up again. Okay. Again, for those of you that are focusing on the gaps, come on. There's price, the push back up again. So looking at the top here, it doesn't look as nice. Over here, it's a little bit easier to grab. This is definitely a potential area you could take some shorts. And again, the highs here, and again, really the trade was right there. That was your entry, the failure to go higher. And again, this was super early in the morning on Tuesday. It formed at about this time when it kind of came down for that retracement. But if you extend this line across, this could definitely be another area that you're looking to, probably there, if you're looking to get short. Now, again, obviously this gap at the bottom is still valid. It went low, came up, and then had a hard time even breaking and barely touched the zone before it went up again. So, again, we're kind of forming a channel on this one on the 30-minute top and bottom. Had this spike not been down, had the spike been up, it would have been right inside of this zone. It would have been pretty nice little area to short out of. But again, it went in the opposite direction. I'm hoping that that's not the front run to kind of bring this all the way back down, because that'd be a nice little missed opportunity on this one. All right. But again, make sure you mark off top and bottom on this one. I'll just take these off. I don't need those right now. We'll just mark this one off here. Mark that as a zone that we want to keep our eyes on. And again, that's right below. So again, a bit lower than what we need to worry about for this. Right, euro pound. Now let's see, a euro pound. We got what? Pips in 24 hours. So literally this little bounce off that buying zone, kind of came up right to where the gap is, and nothing. So again, kind of the same thing. 16 hours today of really, I mean, actually, I guess 20 hours, right? And very small bodies and kind of whipping back and forth. And you can see what it really did today. Again, let's not make it too exact. I mean, I can make it look like, just be like, yeah, it was all over the place, but no, it was really kind of inside of this zone here. You're really talking from here to here, you're talking about a 15 pip range, and it literally just kind of bounced back and forth between the two. So there's really there's so much indecision in this market. Nobody has any idea what's really happening with it. And I mean, the advice that I give you is stay away. There's no trend. It's sitting on the lower side. We're definitely looking more inside of a bullish kind of, I'd say, bias at this point. Going much lower than in these two. There's definitely some buying zones below here down at the 185 area. Or I'm sorry, the 85 area. So I'd be cautious with it. Like I said, trade something with a trend. This does not have a trend. We've been inside a 10, 15 pip range for 24 hours. There's just not enough meat inside of this one. And you're even looking at it. I mean, we're talking about a 15 pip range, but you got a spread of 2. So, I mean, we're talking about way too much of a spread for even kind of playing back and forth. It's just not worth it. All right. All right. Going across the euro yen. And I still see. Yeah, James, that was the only thing. His cautiously optimistic statement in the forum. Of course it's live. How could I pick on you if it was recorded? It's live. If I could figure out how to pick on you guys when it was recorded, then that would be awesome. That would be great. But I'm not that advanced. I wish I was, but I'm not that advanced. I'm not that good. All right, so euro yen. Euro yen, you can see, guys. What do we have? I don't have that one up on the scanner, but you guys can see. Here's where we are right now. Here's the 19 candle, and when we go back, the 19 candle is here. Okay, so basically within the same range. That one only moved about 19 pips in the same thing, and you can see tiny body. I mean, these bodies are less than 20% of the overall candle, and it's mostly all wick. So a lot of indecision. Okay, it was poking up into areas of supply. Looks like it's flipping. Again, that's the one little hit we had here the other day, and again, it's pulled back. It's pulled back again, and again, you guys will see this is for you trend people, right? I mean, again, it's definitely holding a trend to the top side. If we break it sideways, people are going to be like, oh, it's time to go long, right? But you'll see, I mean, we've had what, 1, 2, 3, 4 touches, almost a 5th touch on this one. So I mean, it's holding that that trend pretty well. And same thing. Where's their other tool at? I don't need that line. I don't need a horizontal. Yeah, here we go. Not as nice on the bottom, right? It's much nicer on the top. There, right? A little sideways channel action there, right? Boom, 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 boom. So You'll see a lot of people right now that are like, woo, short, short, short. But I think it's just more moving sideways. I would say that I would probably be more into a shorting. It's gone, it's grabbed orders up here. You can see at least in the 30-minute how these are formed. Again, you could draw a box here, right? Again, this thing, first off, it pushed, here's your kind of one piece, right? It pushed into there, it touched. Then there's your next one level down, and you can see that it got close, right? And then you could do that, here's another your next level down. So, I mean, it keeps going off these things and forming new levels of supply up top. So, yeah, I don't think a short is necessarily a horrible position if you're looking for something to trade overnight. But I wouldn't expect a lot of movement out of this one to the downside. There's just not a whole lot there right now. There's not a whole lot of catalyst. Um, and again, let me see. Let me see if that big burst came at the end. Yeah. So again, this is a yen-based play. So it wasn't Australian news. It was yen volume. It was yen movement, and you guys can figure out why, right? Hopefully, everybody understands. For you trend people, yeah, I'm one of those. Yeah. No, but again, you guys understand why the yen was the thing that popped, right? Yen strength came back because if there's a trade deal that's good for the United States, and that's good for trade, which makes it good for the yen. Hopefully, you guys all got that. That would be why the yen popped, because of Chinese news. It's nothing to do with them working together, because they don't like each other either. Okay. But yes, yen pop. Now, with that being said, I don't have it up. Does anybody have futures up for tomorrow? I bet you saw a pop in futures also. I'm pretty sure if it's there. Let's see. I don't think I can do a short-term one. Oh, hold on. Let me see real quick. Maybe I can. I know. Let's see. More indices. Let's see if I can get a chart up now. It did go up. Yeah, I can't see it. Nope. Did it go up? I feel like it should have went up. And the reason I say that is just because, again, trade deal, okay, bam, everything's good. Woo, trade deal, go trade deal. So that's kind of what I see, right? All right, I do expect this to retrace and go to the downside if you guys are looking for some type of play overnight. Again, there'll be various things you could take on it. Looking at euro dollar, again, I expect probably a little bit of a spike in euro dollar as well. Not much. I thought there'd be a little bit more on this one. Looks like it's all going to be yen based, not so much dollar based. Yeah, not too much. A little bit of a gap. Yeah, volume is really low on this pair right now. It's because everybody is lost. All right, so mentioned it yesterday that we had this blue line and we were stuck on it. Well, look what we did today. Okay, we did have it down and we did have it up, but it's still back at the same exact blue line that we were talking about last night. As you guys can see, here's where we were at not the 19 candle, and when we go back, the 19 candle is right there. Okay, so we're in the exact same spot, right? 2130, and when we go back, let's go to 2130, right here. So, okay, so we're off by 2 pips from where we were last night. Right? And if you're looking to see where it went down to, if you're trying to figure out where it did, again, all you have to do is go here and draw the base, right? Again, off that level. It looks like there's a little bit of a level below, right? You guys can see this old zone, kind of this single wick against the wall, but this is a pretty clear kind of retracement back, single wick against the wall, nice pop out of it. So kind of gave you everything that you needed, but yeah, it looks great over here, right? You're like, oh yeah, look at that. That was, definitely I could have played that retracement today. But you're talking about you caught at the very, very bottom, you got 20 pips out of it. And what level of risk? I mean, if that was your risk area, again, that's if you caught it from the very, very bottom. The risk level on that one is only 8 pips, which is fine, but we knew that it was going to have a hard time. So there was your 8 pips risk for 18 pips. So you're not even getting a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio out of it. There's just no trade in that one, right? Nothing there. Okay. Just unfortunately, it's just kind of boring, right? Now we do again that we are confirmed that we do this to the lower low, another lower low, another lower low. So it's definitely getting some sellers and things above. I don't know at this point if we're going to be able to drive, especially with the data, tonight about that. We'll see as that unfolds tomorrow morning. Um, I don't know. I still think that this one, as soon as we get any type of dollar good news, I think that this one will start to really turn back down again. I just don't see any reason why it would be up this high. In this one too, my targets on this one, I'm still looking down at the 110 range. It's about 75 pips from where, or 77 pips from where we are right now. That's a lot in one day when there's no news, but again, it only takes one tweet, and again, it can head to the downside. But yeah, definitely a bit more bearish in this position than I am bullish right now as well. As far as entries, again, just be cautious. Again, I wouldn't say that this is the best entry up top. There's a lot that you can run into. Like I said, even on the bottom side, I mean, we got supply, we got demand here, we got demand here now, a little bit of demand here. And again, here's where your gap is, right? If you're going to talk about where the gap was, well, there's the bottom of the gap, and there's your gap range right there. So any type of short position to the downside, you're going to have to be cautious. We got to burn through this, and we got to burn through this. I just don't think the opportunity is here. I think something like the pound Aussie, or even the euro yen, are a much better position right now than what we have here. Okay, I just don't really see much that we really like to trade. Anything I think is going to be slow and grinding for tomorrow, going into Friday morning. Okay, euro Aussie, and again, it's times like this that looking at some of the hybrid pairs are not a bad thing. All right, so this is an interesting setup. And again, remember we mentioned before that we had that Aussie weakness on basically every pair. And, definitely we saw it. And I mentioned there's some zones setting up. Well, here's one right here that we had talked about before. Okay. Here's that top zone that we drew, right? Here's where we are right now, right? At the 2130. Going back, the 2130 was right here last night, right? And we said if we can get back up into that zone, it may not be a bad area. Okay. Here was the spike that we had today, right? Just a little while ago. So we have now touched it on the 4-hour. So if I extend this across to there, let me make sure it's at the same area. Let me make sure it's good. The birds like the sun better. You guys can see where we're at, right? It's kind of one of those ones. It's like we're like right there. We may have gotten front run. You may not have gotten an entry on this one, but I do see this one turning and kind of coming back down again. Initial profit targets, because we did kind of rally up a bit. Originally, we were looking for down here. 162.20 is probably a better one. It's about 80 pips from where we are right now. To the downside, I think would be a better short. And again, like I said, we're looking at this inside of these 4-hour zones, trying to get something on the top side. This is what we can see, right? I mean, like I said, you got to use these. But again, pretty nice clear up. And again, you're seeing it kind of pull away. Again, the little bounce in this one is obviously because of the Chinese data. It doesn't necessarily surprise me that it's starting to bounce. But, I can see it continue push to the downside. Again, this is why it's important to have other things marked off and have alerts set. You may or may not have gotten into this one. Again, it's very, very close based off of what your draw is, based off of your actual brokerage firm. But again, we're talking about, the high on this one is at what? 163. 163.23, and you're talking about the zone at 163.24.5, right? So again, your alert would have definitely been a few pips on that one. You may have been able to get into that one, but that's why it's important to make sure that you have your alerts set on pairs like the Euro Aussie that you're typically not going to be looking at inside of your majors basket. But again, 4-hour zone that we talked about last night, rallying high enough that again it's going to hit, and again, nighttime trade, right? Had you gotten short from that level, it's let's see, you would be up, at the maximum, you would have already been up 50 pips, 47 pips. So I mean, you would have been out in less than an hour. Okay, the risk level in this one was about 15 pips. Well, yeah, 15 pips right there. Again, there's your 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio right there. Okay, so it actually went just a little bit below. So you're still able to grab it at night. Okay. Let's see. You missed entry. Yeah, it was super, super close. Are these moving at fractions of pennies? Actually lower than fractions of pennies. 2 digits smaller than a fraction of a penny, which is okay because that's all we care about. So if you're unfamiliar with currencies, you may look at this and be like, what? And here, I'll show you with the euro dollar. That's probably the easiest. Okay. So euro dollar, the current rate is 107.72. Well, see the $1.10? we're actually talking about, we're focusing on the digit, the first 7 here, okay? The last one, 2, is actually a fraction of a pip. That was something that currency firms put in to have basically to have more competitive pricing. Instead of saying 1 pip or 2 pip, they can say 1.8, and it just confuses the heck out of people. But basically, the 4th digit is a pip. A pip is like a penny is in the stock market. It's the smallest price movement, but it's really what matters. So an example is if it moved 10 pips, it's, you know, 10/100ths of a penny, and that's worth like $100 in currencies. Yeah. Well, it's easier to make money here than it is in the stock market. So here's the thing. All right, so I'll give you an example about how we make money. This is great. All right, so let's use. All right, so here, let's just talk about this little pop right here. So this happened within an hour and a half today, and this is so tiny. This is not. This is like such a small. You guys, you can see, right? Nothing's moving. You're like, this is crazy, right? This is only 20 pips. Okay. If we bring the alert, or if using this, what you can see over here is each pip value is worth $10. So in this hour and a half, it moved 20 pips at $10 a pip. There's $200 from there to there in an hour and a half. Okay, you have 50-to-1 leverage in this arena. So you need very, very small amounts of money to control a lot. So like a standard lot is what they're talking about right here. That's what the $10 is. You're controlling $100,000 worth of currency, but you're doing it with about $2,500. So it's very, very small. Okay. And it's not even like, I mean, they basically just borrow that money. That $2,500 comes back to you. That's just what you need in your account to be able to control that position. But they take it, your account value goes up and down. And the nice thing too is there's no such thing as a margin call. So if you're used to like trading, I mean, if you did this in like stocks or, inside of futures, you could actually go negative and owe them money. You can't do that in this realm. So leverage. We don't trade in pennies. We trade actually if it moves a penny, that's like 100 pips. That was a pretty big day. That's $1,000. It's $1,000 worth of movement with just one standard. Okay. All right. So let's look at this guy, pound yen, the disappointment of the century. Okay, 8 pips. Okay, so we really didn't get any movement, and literally all we did was bounce. We literally went up to this other zone that we talked about, and then bounced back right down into it. You guys remember I drew that last night? So here's where we are now. Here's where we were last night. And we said, hey, this is where we were last night. And I said, if we can get back up into this zone up here, be looking to get short on it. And that's what we did. We went back up, we grabbed it again, and we came back down again. But it really didn't move much from where we were. I mean, I guess if you had captured top to bottom, if you had taken it short from that zone, went back down again, you could have grabbed about 44, which is not really that much for this pair. Now, this is what I'm curious to see right now is the indicator for this one. Look at this. Way, way, way down here. I don't even know if I can find it. Here's the thing. I don't even know how to get to, let's see. I don't even know if it'll go that low. Take the news off. Events, CAD, deselect all. There we go. Oh, wait, what's there now? Let me, events, United States, deselect all. No, we're still holding at 93, 92. Yeah, I thought we'd go under. So a day like today is not going to help this, but yeah, we are almost ready to break into the 80s, which is crazy because as you guys can see right here, October 17th, or here, I'll do October 20th, right? A month ago, we were at 168, 170. So we are at half the ATR in 1 month. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So again, this one is wedged. Again, you guys can see we got supply here, demand here, demand here, demand here, and we're wedged smack in the middle. This is basically the definition of a sideways day. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And the reason you can't see it on this larger time frame is because it's all in here. And again, it's just back and forth. Yeah, that last little nice pullback was really the best thing that we had, and it's trades at the bottom now, and now it's kind of gone up and kind of stuck in the middle. So absolutely no trade in this one. Just not interested in even looking at it, wasting any time on it. That's why the fractions are in the 1000s. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just if you're not familiar with the currencies market, it's the largest market in the world, meaning every single day, $6.5 trillion changes hands every single day. Okay. It does more in one day than the stock market, the like New York Stock Exchange does in the entire year. In one day, it does it. So it is absolutely enormous. It's much, much bigger than even fixed income and bonds. And bonds dwarfs the stock market. So huge, 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 huge. All right, so as you mentioned last night, we were looking for this lower, area here to hit, right? Here's the 19, and if we go back, you guys can see that the 19 is here. We were just entering that zone, and we mentioned, again, we got to be respectful of this gap. We got to see if there's any type of a bounce off that gap area. Again, the short off the daily zone came back down and completed, and what did it do? It stopped and it turned from the Sunday night gap. Okay. Now it did pierce through a little bit. If you're using that for some type of an entry, I would have been a bit cautious with it. Again, just because we just came off of a daily zone that we were selling. So again, that would be your profit target, which we ended up hitting and coming through, and it popped. And again, it actually has done a retest. So when it did leave the zone, it did pop. It did give us some white space, as you can see right there in this little level. What? You guys want to get out, don't you? Maybe I'll let you guys out for the rest of this chart school. You guys can see we have this white space sitting right in there. Okay, so again, retrace, test back up, and then boom, and it's continued to push higher. It's been slow. It's been grindy. It's only moved, let's see, from that area. It's about 20 pips up, so not horrible. It's over 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio on that based off the daily. But again, this was the trade down. And then again, looking for a stabilization and any type of confirmation that it's going to go higher this way. And it did. It's bounced. I still am overall bearish this position. Again, because we've gone off this higher level. We've seen it on multiple pairs that this one is basically at its peak for pretty much everything. And again, we've just seen so much strength in this pair and really nothing to back it up. Definitely something I'm interested in placing a binary on Thursday night. Like I said, I'm not going to be up for the news on Friday morning, but definitely worth something in there if we can get it cheap. And again, I'll pull up some binary contracts on Thursday and we'll see what we can find for this one. But yeah, this would have been a nice retrace back down again had you taken this one, back from Monday morning. I guess Monday at 11. Okay. Yeah, that's about all for this one. Like I said, I think we're going to get back down to 128. I think we'll get back down into this range. Not sure if we're going to get past this by the weekend, this 128.40 by the weekend, but I think we're going to get back into here maybe by Sunday. Depends on the news on Friday. Okay. Looking at New Zealand dollar. So now the birds are like, oh, the gate's open. All right. There you go. All right, so this one made a little bit of a push up, right? It did go up, and you guys can see I mentioned this before. We had this little wick over wick there, and that ended up being what it pulled off of. This was that first zone, and again, you guys can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, 4. Well, 1, 2, 3, and this 2 didn't rub, and then 4 is what broke it. It retested down to kind of go higher, but it ran into some more sellers. Okay, again, this is why marking off wick over wicks is so vitally important. And there's the wick over wick, and you guys can see what it popped off of. Okay, there's the 19 candle going back. The 19 candle is right here, and that's exactly what we're hitting. I thought we had marked this one off, but maybe we didn't. Yeah, there's your wick over wick extension, and again, push to the downside. Obviously, this zone wouldn't hold again. It got chopped up really bad and then pushed through. And then again, one attempt here, another push here, another push, kind of pull up, and then this one basically broke on 3. Okay, I could argue that it's 4, but it's 3. This one to the downside. This one, I would say that I'm probably going to stay bearish. But again, we're talking about kind of a small distance here, right? We're talking about this being a profit target for the short, and you're talking, it's only about, it's about 38 pips. So, I guess the risk of reward made sense. You're only about 12 pips from it right now. And again, we have two nicer targets. I still like this one. This one is not bad, obviously. Again, that wasn't form last night. Right, we were over. Actually, no, I guess it had form from here. We were going to see what it was going to do. But this one, I guess I could put it there. I guess if you're already short, you could put this here. No, because technically it would have moved it, and it already hit that. So, yeah, so that part, that I wouldn't use that profit target. Obviously, that one's already been hit, so that one's gone. So yeah, let's just focus on the bottom two. That would have been your first setup, again, based off of this basing level here. And we did talk about this one last night. I don't know why it didn't save, but we talked about it because this candle here came back up and retested the bottom side of it. So I remember talking about it, but I don't remember why we didn't mark it. I could have swore we marked it, but I don't know. But that's what ended up hitting on this one. Again, came back down again. You had two different entries. One would have been, again, last night would have been the first entry, and then today would have been the 7 o'clock in the morning. It did pop up again and grab that area. And again, that's where really kind of the fall came through before it hit this first profit target formed right here um, on Monday night. Okay. But hold these bottom two. I think we could definitely get down here to the 63.70 as well as the 63.38 our potential profits to the downside. And again, dollar strength comes in, which we've seen a lot of pairs. We've shown dollar weakness. This one, we're already starting to see the dollar strength come back into it. Again, that may be the leading kind of notion that we're going to see dollar strength come in across the board. And as dollar strength, if it comes back in tomorrow, that's what's going to drive it down to the target number one. And well, I guess it's technically target number two, target number three. So I wonder if it crashed and that's why I didn't save on this one. Thought it was a lifetime save, but I don't know why. Because like I said, we retested it here, so this should have been drawn. I didn't quite like that Wickovic was waiting for the higher zone. Yeah, the higher is more conservative, but the only thing that I like about this one, Ernest, and again, I agree. I do the top one for me is a better zone, but because we had this kind of pullback to there and we stopped right before it, it showed me that there were people sitting there. Okay. And then when you also measure it and see how big the actual area was itself, right? You're talking about 8 pips. So am I willing to take an 8 pip, risk? Sure. And if I had to look for the profit target when we came up and touched, well, this is a pretty nice run up, right? I mean, you have a little bit of a gap and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 straight up with no pullbacks. So you're expecting some type of a pull down. And when you measure that to the downside to that same level, right, you're looking at 35. So you're risking 8 for 35. It's not a bad risk to reward ratio. So it's kind of one of those things that you kind of, even though the other one is a little bit higher, I mean, you throw Wednesday on that, it's $80 risk, right? And again, had we not had this pullback here, then no, I would have just said, as small as that one is, let's hold it till we go up top, right? But that's just a telltale sign of what we had popping in here. And I don't know if we can see it on this 30-minute. Yeah, it's this one. I mean, it's a pretty clear base, right? Right. I mean, it's a pretty clear drop, sideways 3 candles, and then again, and it's formed well, right? I mean, nice entry. 3 more or less sideways candles, and then a very nice exit. And then this one, when it tried to come up, it failed before it even got there. So this, if I had to pick an area, this is what made it, whoops, that is what made it tradable. Okay. That's what made it tradable, is that it's attempted to come up and it got very, very close and got turned away. That was the telltale sign that there was probably sellers here for this one. And you know how much I love this pair. But I still don't understand why we didn't mark this one. Right? So there's a burn on my arm. So if now suddenly goes crazy, you'll know why. All right, dollar Swiss. It's moved 2 pips. In 24 hours, it moves 0.02, but in the last 60 minutes, it's moved 0.11. So obviously, there's been some retracement in this one in the last hour. And again, this news right here, everybody knows what that news is. That is the Chinese, vice premier, whatever his name is, basically making that comment, and that's what popped this up. So, yeah, it's only moved 2, but we were in a nice kind of drive to the downside on this one. We went. This candle's what? It's about 10 pips, so not necessarily even huge, but again, this one turned. We talked about this last night that we had this kind of nice formation here. This one didn't save either, which is kind of weird. I wonder why the heck that didn't do that. But remember we talked about this, and I talked about, yeah, this is not my favorite pair, but I do like this formation that we have here. This single wick in a base forming a triangle on the downside. Well, that's what it hit and turned back to the downside. Oh, she's eating. I have a hoodie on it. She's eating the. I'm assuming it's a she, but it's the green one. Well, they're both green. It's Jade, the green chick. You guys hear this weird chirping noise? It's because she's literally eating the string on my hoodie right next to the microphone. Trying to think if I would take this any further, if I would run this back down again. I don't feel like I would, just because again, this has been a level where price has turned off of, and again, there's a little base here, descending or ascending candles here, a little bit of a base here, and then this entire base. So I think it's got 3 things to kind of chunk through, and all we've seen it do is slowly grind up, wicks up and down, and very, very open and closed bodies. So really not a ton of movement. I was hoping to get a little bit lower to see if we could get entry off this lower zone, but it looks like it's really just going to try to start pushing back up again. See what it does now. I don't know. I don't think this one's going to go back to the downside. Not that far. I think if anything, it'll have a hard time with this level down here at 98.77. So let's see if we can get it to come back up. Yeah, I think if we can get back into this zone, I may look for something. The one thing I don't like about this zone now, about taking it a second time, is because this drove so deep into the zone. I mean, it was only one candle up, but it basically went all the way to the top of the zone to grab orders. So I may actually, if it does come up, I may actually look for this gray zone instead. Let me extend this across. I may look for that one instead for the next short position. Okay, but that would have been why here. Again, this is my favorite pattern, right? That right there. All right, dollar CAD. So dollar CAD is up 35, but if you look 60 minutes ago, it was down 0.04. Again, a little bit of a pop. So this one, we had an alert set. Remember, we marked this green line and we said, okay, if we get an alert, we got to know if price comes up into this zone. Okay, it's up inside of that zone. Obviously, your alert would have triggered. It kind of went above, went below, and triggered the alert again and came back a little bit higher. But now it's put a failed to go higher situation in, which typically signifies that the market is looking to flip and kind of turn and come back to the downside. On the daily, again, you can see we're sitting up in this area. Now, this is a very hard zone, right? Because, I mean, we have a red, a green, a red, a green that popped up, and another red. So it's a lot of candles all smacked inside of the same area, and it's a very, very large base. Again, a large pop up, a little bit of a base, and a large crash back down again. So a little bit harder to figure out, okay? On the 4-hour, right? On the 4-hour, you can see with it, we had this one little level of basing here, and this basing level basically comes up to 133, about 133.20, right? A little bit of a base above here, so a lot of junk all in the same area. Okay, this is one of those ones that we really have to just kind of focus on. Where can this turn? Where can this flip? Right, and where can it go? This one is more kind of a story of what's possible, right? Now, we know the ATR on this one for the day. The ATR for the day is currently popped a little bit at 45. So again, this one shrunk back, as you can see. Back here in September, we were up in the 60s. We're in the 70s in August, and we're back down to 45. So it is definitely consolidating down a lot of these very, very small candles. We've only had really 2 or 3 candles in here that have been big pops. Where we are now, again, I like that this is a lower high, okay? I like the formation that it's putting in. And let's see, how much is this actual zone here? It's about 12 pips from the top. You're eating the other one now. One thing I don't like about just taking this short now or something overnight is the fact that we have, see where this red line is? The red line that we were looking for, which was the bottom of the zone, has kind of come back. And again, you see basing here and drop, and then up, basing, and up. So this level from, oops, not that. Nope, cancel. From here to here, okay? And you guys can see it. It paused below, burst. Came back in, went sideways in, came out, came up, went sideways in and up, came down, rode the top. So I feel like this area right here is going to give us a lot of problems to the downside. So I almost feel that we need to get some type of a, we need to use this area here as somewhat of a kind of a warning area, right? As like a confirmation entry to the downside, because I just feel like that's going to be a problem. Now, where this came down to, it grabbed orders. Again, not surprised it grabbed the orders there, but it did go all the way to the end. So it looks like we're pretty clear after that, and that's the spike here. So a little bit of grinding, a little bit of area here, but I think if we can start getting some momentum to the downside, that'll roll. Now, this one directly contradicts what we saw in the other pair. Right, in the other pair, well, I guess the other pair is we were seeing dollar strength come back into the market. Well, dollar strength should be turning this and setting this straight up in the air. But as we mentioned before, this is much more of a CAD. I would say probably more of a CAD weakness position. And I would say I think CAD was more weak than what the dollar strength coming in would be. So I think that one kind of clicking back is what's really going to start to bring this to the downside. It's really going to depend on how much dollar strength comes through, is the question. Now, even if we do get dollar strength, one thing that I am looking for tomorrow is this upper zone here. Okay, and we mark this one off. Let's see. Okay, that's the basing area right here. All right, so we got one piece up top, which we need to extend out. Okay, there. So basing. And again, you guys can see this one, right? Rally, base, drop, drop, base, drop. Okay. So let's go all the way back. Measurements. Let's see here. About 90 pips from there. Okay. Looking at news. Oh, I was like, why is there so much news now? That's because I clicked. Okay. So not a whole lot. Then we have all this CAD news here. So, and it's followed up closely with that too. All right, so this is what I'd like to see happen. If we can have dollar strength come back in tomorrow, based off of what we've heard for kind of the trade stuff, if everybody thinks it's going to be good, if we can get some type of a rally up from here tomorrow into that zone, again, I'm talking about tomorrow night this time. I'm not talking about just during the day, but if we can get this thing to rally up tomorrow, what I'd like us to do is be in here or here before the news on Friday. Okay. The other alternative is if we drop. So basically, this is what we need. We need price to be here. Here, delete these this way. We need price to be here tomorrow night. We need price to be here tomorrow night. That's kind of what our ideal goal is. Going to be in one of those two. Now, top side is a little bit easier to hit. ATR 45, we can definitely move up that far. Again, could potentially just from the speech tomorrow, but we kind of need this thing to move up or down, one of the two directions. If we are still kind of floating around this base area that we're in right now, well, I guess that's not true. If we're up here, we're obviously going to short before the news. If we're down here, we're going to short after the news. If we can't get in time by Friday, wherever we are, kind of let the cards lay. Look for a spike into either of these two zones. So for news, if we spike in, we'll be looking to go long, and vice versa. The news on Friday morning, if we spike up, okay, take those two short. So if we're there, we can take it beforehand. If not, we have to look for the spike in there and then play the retracement back up. With the U.S. news coming in about 45 minutes after, I think that'll give us a good opportunity, though, for a retracement pretty quick on Friday morning before more or less the volatility builds up or disappears. But that's kind of the game plan for the dollar CAD. All right. Looking at dollar yen, and for the new people, I probably just completely confused the heck out of you, and I apologize for that one, but sorry. Right now, there's 19. 19 was over here, so just sideways. Now, interesting enough, if you're wondering why we had such a huge spike here, yes, you could say it's because of China, but also people were selling the heck out of this. You're like, oh, we broke the bottom side, it's going south, and then it popped right back in. And we're still consolidating in the same area for this position. Really not a whole lot there. As I marked off before, we kind of have a bottom side and a top side we're looking to kind of go long or short in. We did get rather close, so we are getting closer and closer to this bottom section. Same thing that we're kind of looking for. Again, stop. What are you doing? No. Now she's trying to play with the actual. There you go. Come on, you're being mean. All these nice people asked about you the other day, and now you're going to come out and be nippy. There we go. So that's kind of what we're looking for. Again, like I said, ignore the green. The green is basically people that are just focusing on the consolidation. I'm not necessarily focusing on that. Again, that's why I laugh, because when you see this type of thing, people are like, oh, it broke out of the bottom, I'm getting short. And they're like, yeah, buddy, I'm making money. And then bam, they get kind of stopped out when the price spikes back in. And again, it's not a coincidence that happened. That happens pretty much all the time. I'll give it back. There. I'm putting the bird back in. All right, so As far as kind of trading, like I said, top or bottom is really what I'm focusing on this one. I have alerts set for either direction. I'm not going to sit there and watch this one. This one will be like watching paint dry tomorrow. I think this one will. Again, we'll get the occasional spike up and down based off of what we hear in a tweet or some type of news release. Yeah, that's it. Nothing crazy. And then CAD yen. CAD yen didn't do much. We had that one little pop this morning, right? So here's the 19, and there's the 19 from yesterday, right? So again, price went down, price went back up, price went down. Just continue its downside pattern. Now, when this did push up, there was a trade entry today a bit. So at some point today, again, here's the close, right? Here's the close from yesterday, right? So at some point today, this was a green candle, okay? So when price was in this range, okay, when price was in this range today, you were in a downtrend setup situation, right? And look what it did. It pulled back. If you had to pick your level of basing, you would have actually drawn it exactly where I drew it, right? Right to here. Well, there, right? Why would I have drawn it there? Well, pretty easy, right? Two single wicks against the wall with the wick over wick combination there. So that would have been your level of basing where you're looking to short. Now, if you want to measure that out, again, on the 4 hour, you can see that this would have been about 13 pips. Are we cool with 13 pips risk? Yes. Okay. Now, why would we have taken this? Downtrend setup on the daily. We looked at the 4 hour for zones. We looked for projections of targets on the lower time frame. And that would have been probably in this area. Again, you can see the red candle came behind, but then you're in that single wick. So you would have put your profit target there. Okay. And you can see we went below that. Now, this one was close with the risk to reward ratios. Again, you may have been able to hold it, but your risk on this was approximately, what, 12 and a half, right? And your profit potential would have been 36, right? 35, close enough to the 30. All right, so that would have been a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade in a day that we really had no movement whatsoever, based off of a downtrend setup from the daily to the 4 hour. And again, if you wanted to refine it over here, you could have, but I wouldn't have messed with it too much. If anything, all I would have done was probably used kind of this as my zone, right? Because again, here's your basing level. It dropped and it retested that basing level. So it brought it down. It brought it down to 8 pips risk. Again, when it touched, it takes you to 38. So you could have made it a little bit nicer if you really wanted. Okay. Again, textbook setup. It should have been easy for everybody to grab that understands the process. Downtrend setup, and again, this is why the scanner is so important, okay? Because you would have actually, again, it updates every minute, or depending on what your settings is, it could be even faster than that. But this would have told you that we had a downtrend setup on the daily, so you could have been looking for that, even when price was all the way down here, right? So I mean, here's the 19, okay? Here's the 19 candle right here. It would not have, it's below where the close was, so it would not have been a downtrend setup yet. It wouldn't have happened till here at 7 o'clock this morning when this candle spiked. That's when you would have gotten the downtrend setup situation, or the signal. That's where you could have refined it on the 30-minute, taken it off of here, lowered your risk by 4 pips, which is not that much. And again, you were out by 11 o'clock in the morning. You were out right here, or 12:30. So it looks like you got in about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and you were out at 12. Okay, for a 30 pip gain. And for the person that asked earlier, like, how do you make money in this? Well, each pip is worth $9.22. So if we got 38 pips out of this one, right? With one standard lot, okay, bring up my calculator app. Okay, $9.22 per pip times 38, 350 bucks. In, what did we say? Got in at what, 10, and we're out at 12:30. So 2.5 hours, 350 bucks. And you were out for the day. And even if you didn't get triggered here, which you should have, but even if you didn't, it came back up and it ended up going multiple pips. You know, it went 5-7 pips below that. You could have made money on that. So downtrend setup is, what is ISN? What do you mean? Isn't intermediate? Remember, it's just a 6-time block, right? It doesn't matter if you find it here or here or here. And technically, even this, when this is green, this was a downtrend setup, yes? So it was a downtrend setup here. It was a downtrend setup here. But again, it's easiest to find on the daily. What I'm saying is, because it was on the daily, it should have been extremely easy to find. But yes, you could have found it here. You could have found it here as well. So either one of these two, but you always look on the top one first. No, technically, again, you can use the setup to find it on any of the time frames. It really doesn't matter which one you find it on. But when you're using the setup configuration that I have right now, right? Again, you would have saw it on the daily, and then you would have used the 4-hour. But I could have used the 4-hour and then used it on the 30-minute. Just because it was here and here, I was able to refine it lower, but it doesn't get any easier than this, where it gives it to this. I mean, obviously, seriously, what are we in right now? We're in a downtrend, right? So when we're looking to sell in a downtrend, what do you want it to do? You want it to pull back. Well, it was green. It was pulling back. You dropped the lower time frame. You found an area of supply. It just happened to be a downtrend set up here as well, which you could have dropped it to the lower one that gave you permission to go to the lower one and refine the zone a bit, right? Take it from 12.5 down to 8, right? Or 9, I guess. And then again, profit potential, we use that on the 4-hour because that's typically the best one. And all I did was I went over here and I said, okay, where was the last time that I had a nice little kind of explosion of price? And it would have been here. There's the little bit of a pullback because I can see the wick. There's the profit, right? Boom. And when you go across, what do you see? Did it go a little bit lower? Sure. Sure, it went a little bit lower, right? Let me move this green out of the way. Did it go a little bit lower? Yeah, it went down to 81.28. And we went 10 pips past. So is there in any world would you have not gotten filled on this one? No, you would have absolutely gotten your profit target filled. Maybe not this one, depending on your broker, but without a doubt, you definitely got filled. And what did it do? It turned right below our profit target and went higher. So again, for every person that says I have a hard time picking my profit targets, again, based off of what time frame you're setting it up on, find the area, the start of the move, and take it. Right? Take it. Okay, so super easy one. All right. Here's my trading view chart from yesterday. So there's my trading view chart from yesterday. We didn't go down. We talked about wanting to go down first and then going up, but we just went up instead. Now, it is up in an area zone on the hourly. So again, maybe not a bad place to be taking this thing short. I think that the market was convinced that it was going to be a huge miss also. I think that's what the problem was yesterday. But I didn't get the short. Like I said, I wanted this thing to spike down and start here and then end there. Well, it ended right there instead. Now, interesting enough, we drew this zone right at potential areas that we could bounce off of. You guys can see, what did it do? It actually went up and it had problems, right? It hit, it went down, it hit and went down, and it spent a lot of time here. So this is an area that we should definitely carry across. And this is from 56 down to, I guess it's kind of a big area on this time frame, but you guys can see that level of basing going across, right? Here's that V pattern. It came up, it went through, it wanted to go through, it punched with the news, right? Or actually, I guess more than FOC stuff, right? To 15. Oh no, time shift. Yeah. So the inventory popped up and then just held. Okay. But would I be looking to take short positions? Sure. I'd be looking to take this back down into this range, back into the 56. About 80 cents below is what I'd be looking for. Target would be in this area. All right. So that would be, if I had to draw something, I'd say this would be somewhere. Probably right here would be my target. Oops. All right, so that's oil. Like I said, oil was dead on. It's the second time this year, and it's a weekly release. So I don't know what week we are in the year, but nothing super exciting. This was the textbook trade of the day. Like I said, good opportunities on Euro Yen, Aussie, or Pound Aussie. A couple of the Aussie pairs actually don't look bad. Again, based off of where it is. The only one that's giving us somewhat of a mixed signal is the dollar. Like I said, you're seeing some dollar. A couple of pairs that are in very strong positions. And again, they're paired against the dollar, so we're expecting that dollar strength to come back in. The only one that was a caveat to that was dollar CAD. And again, I think that's because the dollar CAD weakness was stronger than the dollar strength, if that makes sense. It was more powerful. And we'll see if we get that retracement tomorrow on any of those pairs. That's it. All right, so let's go ahead and do your pip chips. Okay. Looks like we have one double buyer today. It is Vanessa. She is trying to make a statement here. Let's see, who do we got in here? Who are we missing? Ernest, didn't you? I thought you put in early today. Who else are we missing here? I see no Ryan in here. Ryan must be working tonight. Q, I know, is not here tonight. He's probably working. Angry Mac is not here. We're gonna have to shoot him a message. Who else are we missing? Wealth, are you in here? Yeah, you're in here. All right. So I want to give it another like 30 seconds, and then I'll shut it down. I don't know if there's anybody else in or not. JK just got in, sneaking in at the last minute. Ernest is like, he's grumbling over there right now because he was almost the last one in. But remember I said, now the big question is, did anybody put their tickets in tonight right at 10 o'clock? That's the big question. Remember yesterday I said maybe it's saying who's closest to 10 o'clock. That's what I'm curious about. All right, I'm going to close it down. Right. Oh, Ryan, you're kidding me. Really? Oh. Where's Nick from last night? I don't know where Nick is. Nick's a high school kid, right? Yeah, he's a high school senior. All right, Wealth Builder it is. So ready? The winner is Pattern Trader. I don't know when Pattern Trader put his in. I feel like he put his in kind of in the middle. Wait, where's Pattern Trader? Let's see. I remember Pattern Trader. What time did you put yours in? Timing was off this time. Ryan was like literally trying to snipe that one at the end. I keep telling Ryan, go with the trend. It'll help you. And he tried to catch the bottom. He tried to catch the falling knife, and he missed it. I literally said 30 seconds more. I waited 30 seconds. I hit it, and then not even a second later, it's like, bam. He just got owned by the pipettes, right? All right, this one is complete. Pattern Trader, congratulations. Let's give you some pip chips. Silent hasn't been here either. And where's Vic? I have to give Vic a hard time. Pattern Trader, where the heck are you at on here? You're not on page 2, are you? Maybe you are. There you are. 14. You must have been spending some pip chips. All right, there we go. 25 pip chips for you. You got some catching up to do, but that's all right. You keep attending, you'll definitely catch up. Let me make sure I gave them to you. Yep, Pattern Trader up there. So you're just off of page 1. Ryan missed by a pipette. Yeah, a chipette. Yeah, Ryan missed by a chipette. Yeah, I can't gauge how much of a delay I had. That's why. Oh, yeah. I actually had a higher delay than I thought this tonight. Normally, I have about 6 to 7 seconds. Yeah. All right, now you know to get in, closer to 10. I think Pattern Trader actually probably got in around that time because I think his came in a little bit later, but maybe not. But hey, he was able to get in there and take advantage of it. So it's kind of a cool idea. So he got it. All right, guys, with that being said, I will catch up with you guys tomorrow night. Tomorrow, we got a couple different positions going into the Friday news with CAD and the dollar that I think we have good chances on. And like I said, I'll bring up some actual binary contracts tomorrow, and we can kind of see what looks good and see if we can find any juicy binaries to take advantage of. All right? So with that being said, you guys have a good night tonight, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Take care. Oh, by the way, if Josh is Josh here? Did anybody see Josh? It may be Josh's daughter. Josh's daughter, if you are on, make sure you tell your dad that we are confirmed. Or I just wanted to confirm that we have a mentor session tomorrow at 5 p.m. So, Josh's daughter, if you are on here, tell dad we have the mentor session at 5 tomorrow. Just, again, on the calendar. I have a reminder set, and it went off today. So, you guys take care. I'll catch you tomorrow.